right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. We have the pleasure of having two of our employees, Tracy Bergetzger and Holly Kudel, and they're going to be presenting on setup and use of 1099 form in Business Central. And if you do have any questions along the way, please feel free to type them into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and we will get them addressed. And also, this is being recorded, and everyone will be sent a copy afterwards, and it will also be available on our website on demand for you to review and share with any colleagues at a later time. So now I'm going to turn it over to Holly and Tracy to introduce themselves and kick off our presentation.
Thank you, Angie.
Thank you, Angie. We are really glad to be here to spend time with you. Not so much to talk about 1099s. Tax class made my hair fall out, so not my favorite subject, but the 1099s are important. And I am excited that there are some really cool new features inside of Business Central to doing your 1099s and reporting to the IRS. So I'm glad that we're bringing that to you. And I am Holly Kudel with Innovia Consulting. Been here for 6 years, started on the end user side as an accounting manager and moved into IT and a CIO for that company, and then came to the partner side to help do what I did there for many companies using their ERP successfully. Tracy?
Hello, everyone. My name is Tracy Bregetzer. I've been with Innovia approximately about 5 years now. I've been a consultant for probably about 7 years. Previous to that, I worked with a manufacturing company for probably about 20 years, and that's where we established and I started learning how to work with Navision, now called Business Central SaaS, as we know. So I've had about close to 35 years of experience with this ERP system.
And it shows. You must have started as a kindergartner.
Aren't she the nice one?
Best day of my life when I found Tracy and she came over to Innovia with us. But I'm glad to have you on board for our presentation. So let's jump on in. So today our presentation is going to be to overview what that 1099 form looks like and how we use it inside of Business Central, what that setup process looks like, and then how we use that form and get it sent off to the IRS, which is the important piece, and to our vendors. I'm going to walk through sort of a presentation and point out some of the features and functionality for you, share a little bit of information around that, and then we're going to turn it over to Tracy, and she's going to do a walkthrough demo with you from start to finish and how to utilize that and why you might want to do that within your system going forward. And again, once we're done, it's quite a task to get set up and get going, and you could submit a ticket to support, and Tracy will be glad to assist you as you walk through that process. So it is that 1099 form. So it is something for anybody that might be listening and wondering what this is about. Maybe you're the IT person and listening in for your accounting department, but any vendor that you have in your system that's not an employee and that is maybe self-employed or for rent or other areas that they don't report taxes, you would send them a 1099 with the income that they earned from you. So this would be after you've created the purchase order and then you've gone ahead and paid that purchase order. It will record and grab all of those payments you made to them to report off as their earnings from you or their income. So the first area that you look at in feature management being enabled is setting up that 1099. So once you've done that, previously in the old version, you would only be able to keep 1 year. So you would set it up, run your report, have to report early, get it done and out of the way so that you're ready for the next year. And then you would have to repeat that process. You could only keep 1 year within the system at a time. So it was kind of clunky. It was not great for history. And once it was updated You know, that was it. You were done. There was no turning back. So now we can set up using feature management, the new 1099 app in Business Central SaaS. And with that comes the ability to have history and to have many codes and many setups for your vendors that are going to get 1099s moving forward. So there's some great functionality and use cases for going ahead and getting that done. And also the e-filing, where you no longer have to get those 1099 forms sent to you and then make sure that the Microsoft form that they set up matches yours, doesn't have to be tweaked, which usually it does have to get tweaked and straightened out. So, you know, that's where in the past that process became the headache, right? So we would, you know, post the purchase invoices, make the payments. We'd need some changes to vendor ledger entries, and then we would have to run these reports and getting the information into the system, then getting the pre-printed forms and making them match as we're printing that information out and getting them off to our vendors and to the IRS was problematic and not an easy task. And we were reliant on waiting for Microsoft to handle that for us. So with the new app, it streamlines that process and it gives us history going forward. So the new concept and the new values that we see for the users with the app that they've put out is now we have our vendor set up. We post and pay like we always have. It runs the 1099 calculation. You run that at the end there. It creates that 1099 document, both headers and lines, creating that 1099 form. It goes into history, so you can go back and look at previous reporting periods, because now we have that history, so you're not locked down to that 1 year anymore. At the same time, right, it's going to then we push out and we schedule that e-filing and e-delivery. It goes out and it e-files to the IRS using an API call. It creates then that PDF 1099 for our vendors. And so what we want to do there is, right, we want to check with those vendors that are 1099 vendors and ask them, are they okay with e-delivery? If they are, we set up automatic e-delivery. So as that process in the orange area runs and creates the PDF, it would automatically send them their email copy as a PDF and then put it into the history folder as well. And if they say no, then we do still have that capability then to print off those ones that need to have it sent to them manually by regular mail. And again, an easy process. And part of that process is there's no more pre-printed forms. So the forms are inside of Business Central. It's using plain paper. And you could set up what fields you want to be on that form, what that's going to look like. You can add different boxes depending on what you're using and what you're reporting. And it prints out on plain paper. And no more waiting for those forms, no more making sure that your printer is the same kind of printer Microsoft has, so everything lines up. You're all set to go. So should I turn on the new feature? I think yes, it's definitely worth turning on and giving it a go and trying that new process out as we go along. So how do we do that? It's feature enablement. So if you go into that feature management and you click on the enablement button, it's going to give you an option to either create a new setup. And that would be if you've not used the 1099 process at all before inside of your system, you would do create new and it will create a new one for you. If you already have done it in the past, if you have last year's in there, you can transfer that existing data. Click on that button and it will push that forward into your new process. Going to ask you a few questions to help get things started and set up. And then you're ready to go and start doing setups inside of Business Central. So it's that simple. Keep in mind though, once we do the feature enablement, it is one and done. There's no going back. So once you've committed, you're in. So here's where we go into the setup area of the 1099 app. So you're going to need to set up the 1099 vendors. There's an area of setting up those 1099 codes, and then also mapping the 1099 vendors as well. The 1099 form and form boxes. So you're going to see something similar to this on the screen here. And using those 1099 forms, vendors must be set up to receive them. And we're going to walk through that process with Tracy. She's going to show you right where to go to do that, to setting up those vendors so that they can receive those 1099 forms in Business Central. So it's going to support different types of forms now. You can choose the periods for which you're reporting and those start and end dates. And you can set up those specific situations and add minimal reporting amounts right to that screen. The next area we're going to have a look at is setting up those 1099 vendors. And so when you're on your vendor card, there's going to be a screen where you can set up those vendors for 1099. It has its own little table there. You can change those default codes in the periods, and the vendors are eligible for more than one 1099 form, which is also something that used to be hard to do if maybe you had reporting for rent and then also reporting for service work. It was a little bit harder to do inside the system prior. Now you can set those up a lot easier for each vendor as you're going along. The next area is those 1099 codes and mapping. So what we see here is now you have that calculating that exists for the documents. So now it's one form is one document, but now you have more boxes, right? So that's down in the lines area where you can see the boxes that you're adding. So you have more capabilities to reporting and pulling that information all into that one document that you're going to send and report on instead of having repeated ones. And then the last step, once we have all those setups done inside the environment, is the printing and the mailing. And so now we don't print, like I said, an original pre-printed form from the IRS that we try to run through and hope it works. And then the boxes are checked off all over the place and not where they need to be. And then we have to pay to have somebody tweak it and make those X's move into the right box or the numbers into the right box. And so that no longer is an issue. Now it's done on plain paper and it's delivered via electronic filing to the IRIS and the APIs with them. Then again, our vendors, we either print and send them by mail, or we email them that copy. And again, with Business Central SaaS, that gets set up in the background with your document sending profiles, and off it goes to them without a whole lot of work behind the scenes. And then again, then another nice feature that they added is where the TIN number can be protected. So you could have the whole TIN number printed out, or you can have it checked off to be protected where only the last 4 digits print out on those forms, which is really nice. That was a great little add there. So with that, I do see we do have a question in the box. Will existing vendor setup maps over to the new fields? Tracy, I'm not sure if it brings all of that over or not, because I haven't walked through that, but Tracy may have the answer for us. If not, we will check on that. And with that, we are ready to walk through the demo with Tracy. And again, the slides that I have, I will have available for you guys after, if you would like to take a look at them. Tracy, it's over to you.
Thank you, Holly. Hi, everybody. Yes, this process will update existing vendors, just so you know, and we can run through that here. So first thing, oh, let me share my screen. That would be good, right? And we're going to share. Can everybody see my screen okay? If I can get this thing out of there, I can. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes,
Okay. And you see Business Central?
I can.
Excellent, thank you. So first thing we're gonna look at is a feature management section. That's your first and foremost. You wanna come over here and you see your feature update enabled. I'm gonna take my filter off. This is where you would enable it. And you can't, like Holly mentioned, once it's enabled, you can't go back. But for example, I'll go the one above. To enable it, you're gonna click on all users and then boom, it's done. It's gonna be enabled. Next, there is a nice assisted setup that will help us in this process. If you come into your assisted setup, you scroll down to your 1099 forms feature. I did already set it up, but you can start your setup over. So if you click on start setup and just hit yes, we're going to run this again so everyone can see. Just gives you the basic welcome hello page. And here you want to set up your year. So we're doing 2024. So you can create a new setup. And as you can see, when you hover over, it's nice. Microsoft always gives you a little explanation of that field. So it specifies if you want to create the new setup automatically instead of doing it manually. So we're going to say yes. So transfer existing data. It's specifies if you want to transfer the data from the IRS base application to the new one. And this is, you would say yes here, and that will transfer all of the existing setups. So we're going to create new setup for now. We're going to hit next. Collect details for the lines. This also just explains the mapping between the IRS form line, associated vendor ledger entries that must be kept, and it allows you to drill down into the amount field. So you always want to have that enabled. And here's protecting the TIN. You can protect the TIN for vendors or protect TIN for vendors and company, or you can have none. I'm just going to leave it as none for now. And we're going to hit next. And there, boom, you are done. Okay, so we got this because I do already have the setup. So that is why this error occurred. So in that case, you can just close out your window. We're going to go back. Okay, so the first one is your IRS period reports, reporting periods, I should say. I do apologize. So this is where it comes in and you can add previous years or your current years. If you want to copy from the setup, it says it already exists, correct? So we're gonna go new and you say 2022. We'll go, you enter your dates. And this 2022. So you come in here and you can go to your forms and you can add your forms here. So you can say miscellaneous, and this is our miscellaneous 01. And so from here, you go to your form boxes, your box count here. You go new, and you can just say this is going to be miscellaneous 01 form. And you can add miscellaneous -07 as an example. And then once we come out of here, you see now there's two forms associated with your miscellaneous. So that's how you set up your vendor periods. Before we go further, I do want to show you your IRS form boxes. I think it's 1099 form boxes. Yes, you come in here, and this should be one of the first or second steps you do. If you're not compliant, it's going to show up here that you're not compliant, and it's going to allow you to set this up with a job queue, and this will automatically run the process and update all of your forms for you. So here's all of our forms. If we come down, here's miscellaneous 01. It gives you the minimal reporting amount. You can adjust if any exist here, and then we get into our NECs also. Those are the two major point codes for your IRS filing for the 1099s. Okay, so we're going to go back to our IRS form setups. Oh, I did want to show you this. I'm sorry. So this is where that collect detail lines came in. And this is necessary for the amounts to populate on your forms when they print. At this level, you can change your TIN number to be protected for vendors and company or vendors, as we just saw a little bit ago. And down here is your basic email that's going to send, email body that's going to send when you send your forms electronically to your vendors. So of course, this can be modified in any way, shape, or form. So we'll just say thank you. And we'll say Tracy. So now this is what will be sent when we email. I go back into my 1099s. And of course, you can show all. And we're gonna go back into our forms documents. Oh, sorry, my bad. It's not the one I wanted. So I want my vendor form box set up. So here it shows you your years. And you see I have a couple set up already. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna suggest our vendors. You can suggest, and if you leave your filtering blank, it'll set up all of the vendors, or you can filter. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up my 10,000 vendor. I'm gonna hit OK. So it just, all it does is bring it in, doesn't bring it in for the year. So I'm gonna say, okay, I wanna set up 2024. And you choose which form number should be assigned to that vendor. So now this vendor is now assigned the miscellaneous. And next you can come in here and you can go to propagate. You hit yes. So this is going to update all of your entries, any open purchase documents and your vendor ledger entries. Because previously this vendor did not have an IRS code assigned. Now that it is assigned, it's going to update all of their entries. And I just want to go back before I do this and show you. Go to our vendor. This is where it just set that up for us in these fields. While we're at the vendor card, you can do receiving 1099. This has to be enabled if you're going to go ahead and send it electronically. If this is not enabled, it will not send it electronically. Email for IRS, in case your email address from this field up here is different for different AP person or CEO, you can put that email address in here. So looking at the vendor ledger entries, we're going to go in this balance first. So you see we have one from 2024 and we have one from 2023. We scroll over, you see, let me get rid of the fact box. You see the 1099 fields are not filled in. So nothing is going to be reported on those forms because this is mandatory fields that need to be set in order for the IRS process printing of the forms to work. Along with a payment has to be made against these documents. If there's no payment, it's not going to function properly and you will not see anything to collect. And this is because the IRS does use your payments dates, not your document dates. So always keep that in mind. So if it's not paid, it's not going to go through. So you do have to find those paid, and that function stems over even more into your detailed vendor ledger entries, and it picks up those initial applications. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to kind of scroll through some vendors for you. So we're at 10,000 here. If I click the arrow, it shows us the next one, and these are set up here. And so on. So number 40,000 is not set up. So you can do it from the IRS vendor setup box, or you can also do it from the vendor card itself. If it's a new vendor and you don't want to go through the setup box, you can do it at this level. You go to purchases and you want to do your 1099 setup. So you choose your period. And you're going to say, okay, this is an NEC vendor. And we'll give it an NEC form box number. Now we're also going to do 2023. And you can set up as many years as you like. Okay, so from here now, we're going to click on this propagate. And we're going to update all of our documents, our ledger entries for this year. We're going to hit OK. Excuse me. And then I also want to do it for 2023 because I did see I had a document there for that date. So we're just going to update all of our entries and our documents. And this is just placing the 1099 codes at the proper transaction levels. So if I come back in here, you can now see that your 1099s are updated. So this, it knew as this was 2023, so it updated it with the proper forms. Okay,
Tracy, we had a question about the
sure,
vendors being set up for each year. So each year you have to go in and set up the vendor for the next year.
correct. Well, no, you just have to set up the reporting periods. I believe once you propagate and update everything, that will update that to the 2025. Good question, though. But we can test that right now also. Well, why don't we just test that? So if we go into IRS periods, and let's say we're gonna do 2025, might not like it because we're not in that year yet, but that's all right. We'll try it. And so we go to our vendor setup, and we'll pick on our 4,000. And okay, so you see how there's nothing here now? Let me go back. So see how there's no form here, right, for us to choose? So if we go into new, and we're gonna go to our form boxes. We'll hit OK, got that. Okay, so we have that vendor set up. There's nothing to propagate because we're not in that year. So if I come in, so you see, yes, so since we added that period and added that vendor, did automatically update it. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch this back. Hopefully it'll let me take 2024. No, it will not. So it will update it at the new year. So I suggest doing that like on a January 1st, because if you're not done running or if you have to rerun something, you're not going to be able to because this is marked as 2025.
So if as soon as I add the new year, it will update all the
It
vendors
updates it
then?
automatically. Yep.
Very cool.
But so of course you have to do your suggest, do your new period, 2025, and you pick your forms here. And if you suggest and leave no filters here, you can hit OK. We come to actions, other, okay, so it should have set up. Okay, let's go to other vendors. So it didn't set up this vendor because we didn't add that reporting period for this vendor. So if we come in here and do purchases, IRS setup, here we can say, okay, we want 2025. This will be our NECs. You go back, hit yes, and see now that has updated. But since we want this to work, pardon me?
So we do have to go in and do that for each vendor?
Correct. Well, once you set up the period and suggest and bring in the forms, it's going to set up all the vendors. It has to, but you have to go to your vendor setup form. So if we go to the IRS and come in here to our vendor form box setup. So see, we have 25 here. So it was pulling them in. So here it brought these in, suggested them, but didn't add a year. Okay. So if I come in here and we do suggest, I hit OK. So see, it added these vendors down here for me. I don't know why these are blank. I'm going to go ahead and delete these out just to avoid confusion. But yes, as soon as you set up and come into this vendor form box, it'll update everybody. Like I said, I am going to delete these because I want to work on 2024. Did that answer everyone's questions?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
So
Okay.
being me, and if I forget to do that, and they're all blank, I could technically export to Excel or use a config pack and mass update them.
Well, you mass update with the propagate too.
Okay.
So it will mass update when you go into the vendor forms. I believe.
Awesome.
We can look on that more.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so I showed you how to set up the reporting periods and form numbers through the vendor card and through the vendor form setup. So we shall see what else we have here. So we have our forms documents. So here, if you click on new, I'm going to show you this because I don't want you to do it this way, but if you click on new, this is where your forms and starts the calculating. You can bring in your vendor number, but see, there's no forms here, right? And let's try number 2. Yes. Okay, see, so there's nothing here, and this is due to your period number is not there, the reporting period. So you don't want to click on new and do that. What you want to do is you want to create forms, and you click your period here. You can choose your vendor number. If you leave it blank, it'll do everybody. And then your form number. You can say you just want to do miscellaneous vendors right now. And you can either click replace. And if you click on replace, it'll update the existing. Okay, so we have to do 2000. Let's go back to 2000. See what's going on there. So we have our forms. And if we look at our vendor ledger entries, we have some invoices. See, and I did that intentionally because there's no payments. So that's why we got that error. And I'll go back to show you that error again. So I go to my form documents. Here is what we started as new. We're going to create our forms 2024 for our 2000 for our form number. And we're going to replace. We're going to hit OK. We're going to hit yes. So no vendor form box amounts are found. That's because there's no payments. Remember, we said payments are very, very important. So from here, we're going to go to my payment journal. And we're just going to populate some payments here. I might even have some in here.
Right.
General.
You and I could do a whole nother webinar on what not to do with the 1099s.
Sure. That would be
Because
fun.
we tested it all out.
So I'm just going to quickly do my suggest vendor payments. We're going to get these paid and we will continue on. Computer check. And we're not going to do any vendors. We're going to hit OK. This way we can grab all of them. Okay. So here's all the vendors that require to be paid, just like anything else. We will print our checks. Okay, confirm check is printed. From here, we're going to go ahead and post this. Yes. Okay. Now we will go back to our IRS form boxes, documents. Okay, so now we're going to create our forms. Say it's 2024. We're going to pick on 2000 some more. And we're going to replace it. We're going to hit OK. Yes. So now you see it didn't take this off, but it did create a new one. So at this point in time, you want to make sure you remove the bad document. That is a bad document. So we come in here, we're going to edit. See, now we have our calculated amounts. And once again, this comes from the invoices that were paid in 2024.
So note to self, check with the AP team before you run your reports.
All right, so here we are. We're ready to send our forms. So you're going to get, you're going to go through the process, a live and learn, of course. So if you go to print, we're going to print our forms. So it must be submitted to the IRS. Well, I don't want to submit it. I just want to look at it real quick, right? So you go into reports, you add your report types. You want copy B, copy C stays with the employer, and then copy 2 goes to your recipient. And that's all this is. It's just the forms that you want to list. Now I want to try again. I'm going to go to actions, release, other. So you can print reports, which are the same action buttons that they are up here. I go to print, print, Nope, it still wants me to submit it. So you are stuck in a sense until you get this in the status of submitted. But you can see your amounts down here, which make it nice so you can confirm all your calculations. So I accidentally sent her an email the other day, so I'm going to make sure I changed it. Like, I wonder if that's a true person and she got an email from me. So you want to hit yes. Okay, so if you release it, it goes into release status, print forms. Let's see. Nope, it still wants us to submit them. So from this point in time, you come to actions, release, you want to mark as submitted. Now you have it submitted. Now you say, oh, darn, I have to fix something. Well, it will not let you reopen it. Does not let you release it back. You are kind of stuck in submitted mode. So a little workaround is you can do a configuration package and you can change that status. So to go back first, a quick lesson on configuration packages while we're here. If you hit Control-Alt F1 on your page, it tells you what table the data is set to, and that's your table number for the configuration package, which is required. So I'm going to go in here to our configuration package, and I'm going to go ahead and say new. I'm saying this is my IRS forms, and I just put my initials. So the table was 10035. So from here, I'm going to Excel. I'm just going to export real quick. We're going to hit yes. And remember, this is a workaround to get it away from submitted and back into release or open state. So once your Excel sheet gets exported out, enable it. So see here, it says submitted. And if you hover over status, it tells you which ones you can use. You can use open or released. And that will put you back to submitted when you're ready. So we will change this to open. Just note that your configuration package name of the file, and these are always in your download folders, just so you know where to find them. So I corrected that. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to import that back. And let's see, we're going to select more. We're going to import. And from here, you're going to go functions and you're going to apply your data. So one record is modified. We go back. It's now open. So now you can make any changes you need, like your email address, things like that. Okay, so at this point in time, I'm going to go back into submit. And now we can print our reports. So we're going to print, reprint. So here you have your option to filter to which report types you want first. So copy B, we'll do preview. So this is basically what that form is going to look like that you can send to the recipient. It states that's miscellaneous, whoops, that it is miscellaneous form. Notice the 10 is not showing because I have that as none. And then the second page is just explanations of the boxes. Okay, any questions?
Good job.
To send an email, you can send your email. Okay. So I am going to go add my email account. Next. Use this for our current user. Next. And we'll hit finish. Okay. And I want to do one other email account. So set up emails. We're going to go next. Okay, go next. So here you can give it to your account name, give it an email address. Okay. So for this point in time, I'm going to send an email out. Okay, so see, vendor 2000 has not been enabled to receive forms electronically. So I'll let you go to the vendor card. And once you do enable this, guess what? It's not going to matter. You have to go back, change this back to open, and then you'll be able to take place.
So make sure you've checked all your boxes first.
Correct.
Do you know when I e-file, will it automatically update that status to submitted, or do I still have to go in and
You
manually?
still have to do it. You have to do it first. That has to be submitted to either print or send electronically.
I mean, like on here, how we changed it to submitted on the form, so we
Uh-huh.
could print it. Do you know when we e-file, will it automatically update here to submitted, or will we still
Well,
have?
e-file's not an option yet, right?
Yeah,
They're still working on that, so I don't have that answer,
okay.
unfortunately. I do apologize.
I'm hoping that when we hit e-file, it will just automatically.
Yes, it'd be nice.
Yes.
So since we enabled that field after this form was created, you have to update the form. So you're gonna go create forms again. And you're gonna say 2024. We'll say our vendor. We'll say our miscellaneous. And we're going to replace it. You hit OK. Yes, yes. So it replaced it for us. So we come back in here, we're gonna edit. And when I go to submit, mark as submitted, send email, there we go. See, now we can send, okay, I want to send my copy B. Oh, look it. Once it did that email address again. Yes. I'm going to send our email, get our copy B. We're going to hit OK. Now you see that is checked and it sent the email for copy B. Come in here, do copy 2. Now copy 2 has been sent. And don't forget that your email body is from, go back into here. Is your form setup. This is where you can modify what you want your email body to say. And also for your TIN, if you want to protect them or show none. And that is basically how you run the new 1099 function.
That is awesome. It's going to be great. Again, check it off, get in that sandbox and start giving it some testing and kicking the tires. You can send in your requests for assistance with Tracy and the support team at support@enovia.com. If you're not a client yet, feel free to reach out and we'll connect you with the right people to try and get you the help you're looking for. We appreciate you joining us. Andy, back to you.
All right, thank you, ladies. Does anyone else have any further question for Holly or Tracy? We can get those addressed if you have any. While we're waiting, Holly or Tracy, do you have any last minute words that you'd like to wrap up with before I close us out?
Send in your survey.
Give us gold stars. No.
Give us gold stars.
Yeah, I'm glad everyone could attend, and I hope this was a good learning experience for you and helps you in your future 1099 processes.
It helped me. So thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome.
Well, great. Thank you, ladies, and thank you everyone who has attended. And if you're watching this on demand, we thank you for taking the time out to join us for this presentation. And also, there is a resource page on our website that I'd like to address. You can go there and find out all about our Business Central content and events, and I'll put that link in the chat. Which brings me to mention our customer conference in April of 2025 in Indianapolis, Indiana. This is a free event for you to attend, and you can view the details from the resources link that I just mentioned, and I put in the chat as well. And if you have any further questions, you want to reach out to Tracy or Holly, please feel free to, or you can contact your customer success manager or email us at info@enovia.com. And be sure to take our survey as you exit the webinar. Your response will help us with future material and improvement. So thanks again, everybody, and we look forward to seeing you soon at another Enovia webinar. Take care and happy holidays.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Angie.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Have a great day.